Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Inner Miami Show. I am Brandon Griffin, one of your hosts, and with me as always is the man from the high seas, Mr. Mike Long. And how are you, man?
I just got back from 3 nights on a Disney cruise. I am feeling good. It's the cruise definitely helped me get past the matches that I watched or read about.
Yeah, you couldn't
But
even watch them. Good for
I
you.
I missed the first one. I don't want to say I missed it though, because looking at what happened, I don't think I missed it. Did get to see the Dallas match. Looking forward to getting into that one. I would say
Yeah.
I was right more than I was wrong on a lot of things. I'm looking forward to getting into it and maybe at least hearing you once say you were right. So that's gonna be I'm going
Oh,
from a highlight of a cruise to a highlight of Brand saying Mike was right. So it's gonna be a good show. I'm excited.
I think the short that I put out already covered that, so I don't think I need to say it on the show. We're
Yeah, but I
good.
think we're gonna get some more viewers that might not have seen the shorts, so we're gonna have to hear it again here.
And
Speaking of which, yeah, we're
yeah,
gonna cover this a lot. We wanted tonight to be live. We had plans for tonight to be live. Unfortunately, the overlords at YouTube have now told us that you need 50 subscribers before we can do live shows. So as of 9:28 on
Tuesday
Tuesday night,
evening.
we're at 25 subscribers. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, pass it on. We're gonna do some Twitter pushing this week to get it out there because we
Yeah.
really want to do our next show live. We really want to get some other people to jump on with us because we want to start hearing questions and get into conversations and making this a real interactive show.
Yeah, and I mean, like, listen, there's 80, 90 of you as of recording that viewed some of the shorts that we put out over the weekend. So we know you're out there. We know you're listening. Please just hit the subscribe button. Maybe you don't want to watch us every day, but hit the subscribe so we can do live shows and really elevate the fan question section because we've got a lot of great responses, which we'll get into at the end of the show. But I'd rather hear from you guys live and that way you're getting our raw takes. You're not getting our researched and analytical takes. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so that when we hit 50, if we hit it by next week, we're going live next week. If we don't, your guys are going to get stuck with another recording of us. So the sooner you guys spread the word is the sooner we can go live, and we appreciate you guys spreading the word.
Yeah, and listen, we already appreciate all the watching you're doing of us. Hitting 80. I think we had 86 on one of our shorts. Super excited
Yeah.
that you're listening already. I know this is only show 5. We're just kind of kicking it as we go. But yeah, now the race is to 50. Get us to 50,
Yep.
and then we can kind of we can do the next kind of cool stuff. And speaking of cool stuff, for those who can watch, I am holding up our new Inner Miami Show stickers that we will be
Yep.
handing out. I'm going to say this now. I'm not handing a single one of these out though until we hit 50 subscribers. So that's another
Yeah.
way. If you want to get a sticker, you got to help us get to 50.
Absolutely. And if we get to 50, you better come see us in the green lot because we
Yep.
will have them.
I'm rocking my
Yep.
Greenlight
Find the
Gang
Believe
flag.
flag.
I've got the Believe Greenlight Gang flag up behind me today. We're less than a month now from kickoff. We're less than a month from
Yeah.
meeting in the green lot. I don't have tickets to the Newell game yet, but I've been thinking about it. Maybe that 15th will
Yeah.
be
I
the
don't
first time we
either,
fly the
but
flag. I don't think anyone's
I don't
going,
know.
so I'm kind of just debating
I
picking up
might
some
wait
tickets.
till day
Yeah,
of, try
that's what
and
I'm
snipe
thinking.
some cheap tickets. Or
Anyway,
as this club goes, they might rather be empty. Who knows?
I
But
think people are going to want to see that. So anyway, let's jump
I
in,
do.
man.
It's a
We got
cool
a lot to
story.
talk about
Yeah.
today. We want to talk about transfer updates before we get into 2 separate matches. We got some rumors to get through. So
Yeah. So let's
why don't you kick
dive
it off?
in. Let's dive right into the transfer updates. So the latest rumor that is circulating, and we can talk about how valid we feel this is or how active this may be, but it's there, so we wanted to talk about it. Is Augustine Palavecino from River Plate. He's the latest guy linked with us, and we'll throw up his a picture of him and his stats off of FB reference, so you guys can see he's a very good offensive player, very good with the ball, great with goals, great with assists. And if you watch the 2 games that we played over the weekend, that's what we need. We need some offensive firepower, possibly. And so looks to be a good addition. I believe he's 27 years old. So it's not like he's a young prodigy coming here that maybe will sell on. This is a guy in his prime who'll probably come in and stay a while, or until we need cap room and we got to clear it to bring in more of Messi's friends. So, Mike, what do you think about this transfer rumor?
So I guess a couple things. The rumors I've read so far is that this would be a loan, not a permanent addition. So I think it's going to be, one year loan to make happen.
With an option to buy, I think I saw.
With
right?
with an option to buy. I on paper this doesn't make sense to me. We have so many attacking players, we have so many midfielders. We shouldn't need this. Now I've watched the Dallas game and we haven't scored. We haven't actually scored a goal now. I think in two. Obviously, these two matches. The last 10 matches, we've only scored 7 goals. So attacking firepower, we do need, and we'll get into it a little bit when we get to the Dallas game. We'll get into a lot probably. I think scoring is coming. Like the players are figuring each other out. I don't see us needing this move. I frankly don't think we have the money for the move, which we'll cover again in a second. But I don't get the point of this. I don't see it. I think this is a luxury move, there's other places we need players, defense clearly. I'm not a fan. Now that being said, there was people today, multiple reports today saying that this was going to happen today. It didn't happen today. Now, again, something we'll cover in a second. There was a big unveil of the new sponsor today, which is Royal Caribbean. Not a real good secret. I could see that, like, hey, we held off announcing this today because we wanted the Royal Caribbean news to get out, and this is going to happen tomorrow. So I can see this happening. I don't want to say I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it should happen. I don't think this makes sense. But I'm not the one calling the shots.
To me, this only makes sense for one reason and one reason only, and that's a guy that that's if we fail to get a guy that we talked about previously on the show. If we fail to get Christian Medina, I think that this move makes sense. Christian Medina, as you can see, a better stats overall than Augustin, and nothing against Augustin because I think he'd be a good addition to the team, but I don't, like you, Mike, I don't think he makes sense, and I don't know how we pay for that. Outside of a loan, I can see a loan working, but I don't know how we bring in another player, either Christian Medina or an Augustin, without letting at least 2, 3, maybe even 4 players go. And I just don't think there's a market for all our players. I think the high cost players that we want to let go, probably guys like Coco Jean, Gregory, Mota, and God, what's his name? Going to Everton.
Stefanelli? No.
Stefanelli. So, maybe Stefanelli deal still happens, but the other guys, we'll see. Because I really do think we need to move players in order to bring people in. But we wanted to bring Christian Medina up again because those rumors are heating back up again. I'm starting to see a lot of movement on that on social media. No sources confirming anything at this point, but that would be my dream signing if we could get Medina in this window. That would be huge. Augustin would be a decent consolation prize, but what do you think, Mike?
So no one's really talking about this yet. Well, no one on the Inter Miami fan base talking about this. Obviously, every other fan base crying fouls talking about this, but there's a money issue here that's a big problem, and it's starting to show. Which is, we don't have the money to pay for these guys. We don't have the spots to pay for these guys. Christian Medina is coming in as a DP, and I know with another thing we're jumping into, Faris getting going out and being done for the season does possibly open up slot, but to pay for Medina, we need Gregory and or Campana to not be a DP. But to make that happen, we have to use a ton of Gam and Tam to pay them down. But to pay them down and put that money there, we have to have other players not take up that money. I know that we got $1 million in Gam from deals we've made over the past year, including the Kamal Miller deal. But that money is being used really quickly. Suarez is eating Gam. Alba is eating Gam. Last year, to make the second half of the year work, I think we kind of think that Campana was bought down and with GAM. So he went from $2.1 million down to 1.5. That's 600,000 in GAM that was
Well,
used.
I think Gregory was bought down because I think under the old roster rules, Campana had to be a DP in order to
No,
have the 3
Bogart.
U22 spots.
That's what everyone thinks, but it's wrong.
I don't
Tom
think it's
Bo-
wrong. I don't think
No,
anybody
hold on.
knows
Hold
because
on.
there's no transparency in the roster rules.
So I believe Tom Bogart probably knows better than most people with MLS. He did an athletic article last year that was super informative. I'll find the link and I'll post it on our social. He broke down how we paid for everyone. And what was shocking was everyone understands the U22 rule wrong. There's a secondary rule to it with how much, if your DP player is a DP but under a certain amount, that also can trigger the U22 rules. So because Gregory is a cheap DP, he's like 1.9, he's just over that DP level. He actually was cheap enough that the U22 guys could come in, and we bought Campana down. So I'll have to find the article. It's super informative. It's a bit of a long
I think
read.
I read that article and I wasn't sold on his math because the math, if I remember correctly, looked like Gregory would have been cheaper to buy down with TAM or GAM anyway.
It's he knows better
Unfortunately,
than I
it's
do.
all guessing. It's all guessing because MLS doesn't release that information. We will never know.
I'm still gonna find the article. I'll post it out
Yeah.
there to reference it, and especially since I called Tom Bogart out for sniping one of our rumors earlier today. I feel like I gotta pay him back.
Well, and if you're not plugged into Tommy Scoops, I mean, you're missing out. The guy's got a lot of information. If there's anybody to follow on the league and as a whole, it's him.
And our friends at Battered Herons interviewed him, I think, last week and had a great talk with him. He seems like a cool guy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked it out, go check it out on their YouTube channel. It was a fun conversation, and he does a lot of things on Apple TV. He's with like Extra Time and stuff like that, so you can see him there. But cool dude, really awesome conversation. It's really cool to see a guy like that spend some time with a local podcast, local boys.
But circling back, because I want to get back to this, I don't see how we're affording what we have to date. So let's take Medina off. Let's take any other transfers that haven't been already confirmed off. I don't see how we can afford anybody else without dumping, as you said, players. And the problem is, I read a comment today. It says it takes 2 teams to create a market. Well, if only one team wants our guys, there's no market. And so we're going to dump at the lowest price possible.
Yeah.
And so I don't like our big DeAndre Yedlin, $600,000 right back. We've talked about him before. I actually think he played fantastic last night. I know there's other people that will disagree with me. As a attacking right wing back, I think him and Busquets were on the same page. They looked fantastic. But we just bought Gressel. We don't need an attacking right wing back like Yedlin at $600K.
Yeah.
Except no one else in the league is going to pay $600K for him. They're going to want to pay $250, $400 max. There's loss of money there that hurts us.
I don't think anybody wants to pay anything for Yedlin.
Okay, that's worse and still my point.
Because I think if you can get $250,000 in GAM plus get his salary off the books, I think you take that deal. If you're Chris Henderson.
Oh, I was just saying that they would want to lower his salary to $250, which means we'd be on the hook still for part of his salary.
Well, yeah. But
so I think this is a problem. It's not going to get better until we start selling players, and I think it's important that we're bringing it up because, again, as you said, there's no transparency. That we're not hearing anything. I want to talk about transparency, Chris Henderson, but let's talk about the one we do know. So we signed someone today, someone
Confirmed.
that we talked about on the team today. Team
announced
already.
him.
So Nicholas Freire is coming over. We still don't know how to pronounce his last name, by the way. So we're going to keep him.
We'll figure it out. We'll wait
till
the PA announcer announces it.
That's a good idea. I'll just hope he knows how to do it.
Although they screw it up too.
1 year loan from Pumas. So it is a loan. So which kind of makes sense. It's a cheaper way to do this for us. Apparently he's played in 250 professional matches, so quite a bit of experience. And anyone who watched our last 2 games knows that we need a pacey center back. So I'm expecting him to be out in Saudi Arabia. I'm expecting him to start. Brand, you can disagree on this one, but I am firmly convinced he's going to start at least the second game, possibly the first. They are going to get him in there as soon as possible because, frankly, we have no one else to play in that role, and so he's got to step in and play.
I mean, I don't think saying that we have nobody else to play in the role is fair, and I also don't think it's fair to just throw him in right away into the starting lineup with our next game. Just a couple. What
We
is it? Sunday.
remember Kamal Miller
First game's back Sunday.
when Kamal came over after the trade.
Yeah, but
He,
that's
he played that week.
and so I think that's a little bit different for two reasons. Like Kamal was in mid-season form. There was no fitness concerns with him. And he's also was within the league. So he knew the league. He knew how things play. And you're starting him right away in these Saudi Arabia friendlies sounds like a nightmare. I don't think I would do that. I
So
think he'll see playing time for sure, but I think starting him in these friendlies is not a great way to start building his fitness and building his confidence.
So just to throw out there, I think he's been playing in Greece because he was playing for Greece on Olympicos, and now his Pumas is moving him to us. I think my understanding, I read this somewhere, and I could be completely wrong, was that he was playing the Greek league, which is in session. So he's coming in form over to us, unlike our own players who are not yet in form.
Well, that would certainly change things, but I still don't know that you throw somebody new in.
But I think, listen, I think getting into some of the games, we don't have a starting center back that meets what Tata's looking for. Sergey is not it. Chris McVeigh, I know you're a McVeigh fan, is not it. They need someone to pay. Let's just assume that Noah Allen stays at left center back, and Toto goes to right center back, or Yedlin, which is still kind of weird. You need that center guy, and Nick. That's what we just bought Nicholas.
So I don't think we can say Nicholas Freire really played in Greece. He featured in 9 games. He only played 700 minutes. So
I mean, how many games of the season are they in? That might be it. I don't know. That might mean.
I think that's why the loan was terminated, is he's not playing as much as they had hoped he was. So that's where we saw an opportunity, went in and got him. And so I think he's going to bring a lot to the team. And I think we talked about it last episode. He's very good in the air. He wins his aerial duels, which is something we haven't had since LGP. Very good defender. I think he's an upgrade over Kamal Miller in this particular formation that Tata wants to play. So I think it's a good move. I'm happy to see him come in, and I do think he will be the starter. I just don't know that you want to throw him in right away, but I'm not the coach, and so Tata knows what he's doing apparently. So we'll see.
I'm coming back to this statement in a little bit around experimentation versus drawing board. Just remember you said that you don't want to throw him in right away because this is going to come back to haunt you later in the show.
Yeah. Okay. You and your drawing board. I'm going to buy you an Etch-a-Sketch.
So a couple other pieces of news. Emerson's going out on loan. We talked about the fact that we had 4 U22s on the books when Emerson was back. It was my opinion that Pedro Gomez should have been the one to go. Now, Gomez actually apparently scored last night in Paraguay under 23 duty. So it does look like Emerson's makes more sense to go. But yeah, Emerson's out on loan. So this solves our U22 problem.
You were the only one who thought Gomez would be the guy to go out. I think we all knew it was going to be Emerson.
To be fair, it's not that I thought it would be Gomez. It's the one I wanted it to be was Gomez. I kind of saw Tata picks Gomez.
You completely forgot what Emerson looks like and what he plays like to think that he was going to come back to this team.
Play with wingers. He does have the ugliest goal ever in Inter Miami history when it took 3 shots three times to hit the goalie before winning. Yeah. Another one moving. So Tom, talking back to Tommy, what'd you call him? Tommy
Scoops.
Tommy Scoops. Reported today that Harvey Neville is officially on trial with Portland. We actually covered this in episode 3, so which is why I'm pretty sure Tom is now listening to our show. I think he's scooping from us, or at least that's what I want to believe.
Subscribe, Tom. We want to do live shows.
I think he already is. I'm assuming he was subscriber 25. Well, no, he must have been a subscriber since episode 3, so he's probably subscriber 12. Yeah. But he did talk about Harvey. It does sound like they're the only sticking point right now is it going to be a trade with Portland, or is it going to be us terminating the contract? And that's a Chris Henderson kind of decision. Which
give us that sweet GAM. I don't care if it's $5. Give it to us.
I want to go down to Chris Henderson. So anyone who followed me on Twitter pre this show knew that I'm kind of a Chris Henderson stan. I think he's one of the best CSOs, chief soccer officers in the league. And as far as I know, he's not under contract. So his contract, we know for sure, his last contract ended in December. We didn't even know if he was still on the team until the day of the MLS Super Draft. They showed him still being on the team past his contract date. So we all kind of went, okay, I guess he's back under contract. But here's somebody that's helped reinvent the team. Here's somebody when we got him, we did a big PR press for him, and there's still been nothing. And so I was talking to some friends who has some friends in the club today, and they're saying Chris is not the only person in that club without a contract. That basically it's the first team's got it, Tata's got it, his assistants got it, but there's a whole bunch of people right now in the club, including Chris Henderson, that are being paid day to day. They're at will, and they can leave tomorrow. I hope that's not true, but it's somewhat consistent with the evidence of where is the Chris Henderson announcement. Like, this should be a renewal announcement. And remember, we only signed him to a 1-year deal last year. Here we are a year later. There's no announcement.
Yeah.
And this makes me nervous.
I think you're reading where you're looking for smoke where there's no fire.
I think
A guy of Chris Henderson's experience and clout in the league is not working at will. There's a contract. There has to be, because if there wasn't, I get every league every team in the league would be calling on Chris. I mean, like, hey, Miami's not giving you a contract, we'll give you one.
But it could be a couple different things, obviously. And you and I have been in professional world for a long time. When you're being promised a contract, you'll hang on for a little while longer. The club's calling might not be the clubs he wants. He might be he might have it in his head. The only way he leaves Miami is either they fire me or XYZ comes calling, and those aren't the ones calling. We can't get in Chris. I think it's too speculative to get inside Chris's head to why he might be working at will. But I'm going back to, we've been wondering for almost 2 months, where's this contract announcement? And like I said, earlier this week, start hearing there's a whole bunch of at-will employees. And I'm going to speculate that there might be some actual fire to that smoke, that we're still not as organized as we wish we were, which gets us eventually to our season ticket holder conversations, because there's some missing stuff there as well.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any way that Chris Henderson is here working at will. There's no way.
At will, you're still being paid at will, and he could be making a lot of money at will. Just means he's not able to, he can leave at his own choice.
I don't. I'll tell you this: if it's true and that's what's happening, and that's what the owners decided to let happen, I think that's probably a worse decision than whatever they did to get into the sanctions. Well, losing Chris Henderson is basically like going back on sanctions, because nobody works at GAM like he does.
I get it, but we're a team built to win this year, not built. Chris Henderson's a long-term guy, right? He's the guy you bring in that has a 10-year plan. It's going to turn you around. That's not who we are for the next 2 years. And I'm not criticizing this. I'm just saying we are being built to win right now. We've got the foremost players in MLS now plays for us. We're calling up
something like you mentioned. A guy like Chris Henderson's a guy that's got a 10-year plan. Like he can plan to win now and to win in the future. Like it's not impossible, and that's what his job is.
So let's play that through. Hold on, let me kind of bring this up. IMCF2, the worst MLS Next Pro team last year. Federico Higuain was their coach. He is still their coach. No changes have been made. We've called up now 7 or 8 players from that team. I'm not a huge IMCF2 guy, but I'm also, the research I've done and heard, they haven't gone and necessarily refilled the roster. So here you think about a guy like Chris Henderson, long-term plan. IMCF2 is a part of that plan, and yet we're hearing also there, it doesn't sound like we're reloading. In fact, it sounds like we're trying to grab whatever we can from there, get them up to Team 1, because there's an implosion happening there as well. Now, that's again very speculative, but the fact is they were 5-17. Last year's IMCF2 was 5-17-6, bottom of the table, like absolute bottom. Not exaggerating.
Emulating the first team.
They are. and they've got a Higuain at the front of the team that's not getting them to where they were to go. So I think again, Chris Henderson's a long-term plan guy. I do believe if Chris Henderson is really running the ship, he'd be also dealing with IMCF too. They'd be looking at new coaches there. We have coaches. There's been coaches have come through our organization that are pretty good. There's coaches out there. Hell, I know a guy in Miami who his team played against our IMCF 1 and only lost 1-0 with a very bottom level team that could come coach IMCF 2. That's not happening either. So I think, again, I'm just saying, I think there's smoke to this like there's fire to this smoke. Something's happening around long-term planning. And I won't stop kind of thinking this until I see the press release that Chris Henderson has a contract. And by the way, if it's not backdated to December 1st and it just happened recently, I'd say that does kind of reiterate the fact that, hey, there's something going on here.
You have a lot of faith in this team if you think they're going to actually show you the contract and show you the date that it was signed.
But they usually they'll say when it ends. You kind of figure some of that stuff out from
started.
But I'm just saying,
I won't say when it started. And Chris Henderson is also a very humble person. He's not out there to get the limelight, and I can fully see a situation where he's like, yeah, I'll sign my contract, but I don't want it to be like a big thing.
But by the way, the last 2 contracts he signed, they made it a decent thing, and I don't know if you saw this. That's all we
had to hold on to.
Hey, don't take this away from me. I don't know if you saw this when Charlotte signed their new coach. They took the picture of him signing the contract. You could actually zoom in on the contract, and the contract it was like a mock piece of paper. The paper literally said, "This piece of paper will be given to one lucky fan who you will have to take by signing this. You will take a picture of them taking your contract or something to that extent," which just cracked me up.
Yeah, good on Charlotte for copying what's being done around the rest of the world.
Made me laugh, man. All right, so
there's some better ones.
If I could keep on the Inter Miami's not as organized as they wish they were, I would like to go back to something you said last show about number of parking spaces. So after the show, I went to Google Maps and I counted parking spaces. And just for everyone to hear, there are 400.
Insane.
I
You're
did.
Absolutely insane.
This gets worse. I just want to explain to everyone what I did because this really got into my skin. There's 448 blue spaces. So that's the parking lot to the west of the stadium. There's 314 green spaces. These are spots to the north. By the way, if I'm off by like 2 spaces, don't kill me. There was got tired of counting at some points, just guessed. I then went, because I was kind of curious, and figured out how many parking spots are given out. So everybody knows, if you buy one of our suites at some ridiculous number for a suite nowadays, you get 4 parking passes. If you buy a 4-pack of Loge tickets, you get 1 parking pass. And if you buy in the blue spot in the midfield club eligible, for every 2 seats rounded up, so you have to get 2 or 4, you get 1 spot per 2 seats. So there's roughly 232 midfield club eligible spaces. So if we go back to blue spaces, there's 448, 232. Blue has more enough room for all of midfield. Now, kind of doing the same math, I said, okay, if I'm Inter Miami, and I know people are spending big bucks for Northwest Club, like to the tune of new fans, 4,000. What's 4,000 a seat for new fans, and did the same kind of math. There's 250 Northwest Club eligible seats by some gimmicky math I did. So it leaves us with about 580 premium parking spots that are needed, and there's only 752 total spots. So the premium seats take up 2/3 of the paved parking spots we have, which now leads me to believe something to what you said, Brandon, which is I do think there's going to be less green spots given out. I am suspecting all premium people will get a chance to buy a spot. Everything else is going to auction, except for maybe long-term season ticket holders and some stuff like this. I would say it's kind of a PSA if you're listening to this, especially if you're a new fan and listening, and you hear about parking spaces going up for sale in the green or blue lot, like do not pass go. Like just immediately respond back that you want that, because this is going to be a very limited number. There's if I go back, I think it said there's like 230 unaccounted for spots by my math.
Does that count include the section of the green lot near the training facility that they had closed off last season?
It did count that. No, I did not count that, but that's only maybe another 40 spots.
Well,
It's not a lot. So I'd say there's no way. Okay, I'm not gonna say no way because this club can do whatever, can surprise me on any given day. But I'm gonna be very surprised if they just open up green like annual parking. I think again, I suspect they'll go to the premium seats first, just because the numbers they spent were bigger. There's just kind of a bigger expectation, and then after that, again, if your ticket guy calls you, Tiger girl calls you and says, "Hey, do you want to buy this?" The answer is yes. And, like, you can't think about it. If whether the price is 800, 1,000, 1,600, just say yes, because otherwise you're going to be stuck in auction or buying them per
yeah,
game. And I think it's going to be tough.
you have a lot more faith in the club's ability to organize something like that than I do. I don't think there's any way that the team knows how to organize an auction like that or to prioritize different seats over another. Like that takes infrastructure. I think that's above Inter Miami. They're more of a print out a piece of paper and let's just go with it type of organization.
So the club's learning right now what it means to have premium seats. And what it is, I was talking to someone in the club today, and they're telling me that a lot of people have bought season ticket packages just assume that the Newell's Old Bowl game is part of it because they paid so much money.
Yeah.
Obviously, that would be a part of it. So I do think they're getting a lesson in expectations for premium. And fact is, we are, again, it's the 23rd, so we are 27 days away from first game. Season parking hasn't gone on sale yet. I do think that's an issue. And one more thing before I know we want to get into the games because we're 30 minutes in. We haven't talked about games yet. So the Saudi Arabia games are going to be on MLS,
Apple TV.
Apple TV. So someone told me recently that our season passes haven't expired yet.
They expire in February.
But by the way, the second game is in February. Don't forget. So the season pass.
I think it's the end of February.
Well, it's got to be before the 20th because they're not going to give the free games away. So anyway, I was going to say is I'm expecting us to get our new codes fairly soon. And I think that's another thing that just seems like it should already almost be happening. Everyone's bought them.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't think that has anything to do with Inter Miami. Yeah, that's an Apple thing.
Well, it's all part of it, right? Like it's just a code. They generate codes any day. Like Apple could generate those tomorrow.
Yeah, but I don't think it goes out through. I'll have to check, but I don't think I got my code from.
I did.
The team.
100%. The team emailed me.
I think the team sent me an email and I had to click a link and it just went through to Apple.
No, I thought
I registered on Apple.
I got an email from the club. It starts with an email from the club.
Yeah, but I think the club probably has to send that email out at a specified date and time whenever Apple tells them, because I think all season ticket holders across the league, this is something that's included in their season tickets. It's not just Inter Miami.
Yeah, but Inter Miami has the most urgent need. Excuse me. It has the most urgent need because of our preseason.
Apple doesn't give a shit about that. Apple could care less about that. They would rather somebody sign up and pay for it.
No, they want that Newell's game. They want on Apple because they want the South American audience to come.
They want people to pay for it.
Right.
They don't want to give it out for free. They don't care.
No. Okay, you're right. I'm agreeing with you. My point is they want people to buy the new subscription, which means the old subscription has to lapse, which means all of us season ticket holders need a subscription. So it's tied together. You're right. I'm agreeing with your statement. They don't care, but they do care.
Way to sit right down on that fence, man.
You're welcome.
But yeah, I'm thinking about the parking too. I think the only way they do like season passes, I think there was talk that if they guaranteed the yellow lot would be available for the full season, then they would consider selling season parking passes for yellow lot. So I could see that happening, in which case I think parking just becomes even for bigger nightmare, because you have all these people buying yellow lot parking, and then where the hell's everyone else going to park?
Yep.
But we move on.
All right, let's get into these games. I will throw one more thing out there just because I want to cover it. You were right. We covered this last time. If that was a jacket or a hoodie.
Yeah.
It's officially a jacket. So you're correct. I
Yep.
know that because I've already ordered mine. It's going to arrive next week. I cannot wait to show it off on the show. They did go for sale already. I don't even know if they're still available. I bought that thing the second it went up. But I just have to say, before we get into it, since we're on season ticket holders stuff, 1 point for you for correctly calling that a jacket, not a hoodie or sweatshirt.
Well, I just know the English language and I know how things are defined. And if you have a full zipper, it's not a hoodie. It's a jacket.
Well, I cannot disagree with that. So
That's
I'm going to
how it
disagree with you a
works.
lot as we talk about some other stuff, but for that one, I'm not going to disagree with.
So moving into the next disagreement, the El Salvador match. So this is the match, first preseason match, and this is when Mike hit the panic button, even though he couldn't watch the game. He just got the final score and he read the updates. That was it. He hit the panic button. He was ready to jump off the side of the cruise ship. Team, and I'll kind of give my summary of what I thought happened because Mike didn't get to watch it. Like I said last week, it doesn't matter. It's a preseason game. It was a 0-0 draw for those that didn't watch it. The team was sluggish. They were rusty. There was, and just like in the Dallas game, there were moments where the big four looked pretty good and they had some chemistry together. You could see that they feel comfortable playing with each other. But one thing I noticed is they seem to be a hair ahead of Suarez. And I don't know if it's like muscle memory, like they're playing the ball like he would have wanted it when he was with Barcelona. And they were all playing together. He's a little bit younger and a little bit quicker. I think that timing will change as we go through preseason and go into the regular season. The only thing of substance that came out of this game, unfortunately, for me, is Farias out for the season with a torn ACL in the game. He came in as a second half sub and unfortunately tore his ACL, and we won't get to see him. That to me is a huge loss because he's somebody that I really thought was going to have a breakout year in MLS this year. He had half a season to settle with us. He had a full off season, and I thought this is a guy who could possibly be one of the better under 22 players. What's the list they do? 22 under 22. I thought he could be pretty high up the list. So really unfortunate there. Hoping for a speedy recovery from him. And it's the risk with doing these preseason friendlies. But one thing I know Mike wants to talk about is the starting lineup. This is the place where he was right-ish. With the lineup.
I was way more right than I was wrong. I think you can't call it right-ish. The back line was very similar to what we expected. Alba and left back. Gressel, we did a little, if you watched our short, did a little segment where we said Gressel's going to be a right wing back and not a midfield, and that's where we started. Allen on left center back. We called that one. Toto as he was
center
I had
back.
him as right center back. He played as center back. The one we got wrong was Yedlin started as right center back.
No one saw that coming.
Yeah. But it made sense. Once I saw this, it actually made a lot of sense to me because if I made this argument last time we talked was Tata wants speedy, pacey backs. I actually was saying this during the game yesterday to some people. I don't think he actually cares as much that someone can actually defend as that they can get back fast enough to kind of push a guy off the ball. Yedlin is not as fast as he once was, but as a center back, he's pacey. If you compare it to a wing back or something like that, he's not as pacey as it was. But for a true center back, he's a fairly pacey guy still. I actually think this makes sense in my head. I don't like it. I don't think he should be playing as a right center back because he's so offensively minded. Like it's still the wrong position. But this is the part I got wrong. Obviously, didn't see Yedlin coming. But come on, I got Alba, I got Allen. I did pretty well. We did have Busquets. We had Gregory. We had Kremasky. So Kremasky, I thought Farias was going to start, not Kremasky. So that's kind of the other one I got wrong.
Yeah.
Kind of a shame.
Hence the word right-ish.
Yeah, but that was pretty. Come on. 9 out of 11 is a pretty close thing, especially with Yedlin being the one I got wrong because no one saw
it. That's a B+.
I think that's an A-.
You did go to UF. They grade with a curve.
Sorry, I don't have a Washington State degree, sir.
Oh, well, you should be sorry. Pac-2
So-
champion next year.
So, this is kind of what I expected. Now, funny enough, I got the game completely wrong. If you go back to that short, where I said was we're going to get scored on, but we'll score more goals. Frankly, we didn't. I was completely wrong. We didn't get scored on.
Agreed with you,
and we didn't score. Like, clean sheet is awesome. Dos Santos just had his first clean sheet probably as an Inter Miami player. I guess as a friendly, but who cares? We didn't score, and I think that's a problem.
Well,
and so
to be fair, too, like their goalkeeper was on fire. Like he made some really awesome saves, particularly in the first half.
This is the worst team. Hold on. This is the worst team in CONCACAF football that we just tied.
Let's not get into this again, please.
No, but hold on. So yeah, he had some nice saves. Messi and Busquets and Alba and Suarez did not put one in the net. We'll get this more in the Dallas game, but that's a problem. And that's why I think
not a problem.
It is a problem. Even listen, those guys should be able to score. I'm not saying this is you have to go freak out, but it's a problem.
No,
you can't.
It's not.
Tata didn't walk away from that game going, "Wow, I'm so happy with how we did." He's going, "Guys, we couldn't score. That is a problem." I'm not saying it's you have to reinvent the wheel problem, but when you can't score against the worst team in CONCACAF, okay, maybe that's exaggerated. The worst team in Nations League Group A, that's a problem.
See, this is the thing, and we kind of talked about this over the weekend, was like, this is their first preseason game. Messi, Suarez, Alba, they don't give two shits about playing El Salvador. They don't care. And then, but on the opposite side, this is the game of some of those players on the El Salvador team's lives. A chance to play against Messi, and they're going to play out of their minds. And I think if you look at the energy levels that the two teams had, I think you'll see that El Salvador had a lot more energy for most of the game, and they were coming out there being aggressive, and they were playing really well. With context, like I think we probably played. We let them play well. I think, particularly in the defensive end. I think that. I don't love the formation that Tata's decided to employ for the two games. I think anybody who knows my takes from last season, I don't like Tata. I don't think he's I don't. I think this is what we get. We get a lot of guys pushing forward and nobody finishing. And so, I think eventually guys like Suarez and Messi are going to put goals in the back or balls in the back of the net. But the one thing from the El Salvador game that was very apparent is Gressel has no chemistry with the team.
Okay,
Gressel
so
runs, he's good with the ball, but he doesn't know where these guys want the ball yet. And that'll come with time.
All right, so let's move to Dallas. So we go 0-0. I didn't watch the game. I watched some of the replays, the highlights. The highlights was mostly by the way, the MLS soccer highlights was mostly El Salvador. So that was kind of telling as well. Mm-hmm. So we come into Dallas. Some changes. Gressel now leaves right wing back and moves to midfield. We bring Christoph in to anchor the center backs and put Allen on his left, Toto on his right. Yedlin moves to right wing back. And Ruiz replaces Kremovsky.
Man of the match.
A couple things I want to cover here. First off, so we line up as a 5-3-2. What was interesting is, and I don't think you got to see the second half. I can't remember if you were watching or not, but on possession, we moved to a 4-3-3, a 4-2-4, where Allen became left back and Alba was playing as a left wing, essentially.
Yeah.
Very aggressive. And a couple things I noticed here. First off, Yedlin, I thought, had some of the best runs of the night. So Yedlin and Busquets linked up. You talk about where Gressel was struggling to link up. And it's fine. Like, to your point, guy, it's the second game. It's the second time they're playing game speed. Kind of getting at this level, getting that touch correctly is hugely important.
Yeah.
Yedlin was attacking. He was trying to get behind the center backs the entire match, making huge runs down the right side. One of two things that would happen. Busquets would see him there and get in the ball, and then we'd break down otherwise, or Busquets would go a different way and Yedlin would get frustrated.
Yeah.
So there's a question of what's experimentation versus what's drawing board. So last time, and I was quoted, and you've all hit me up on Twitter that I'm crazy that we'd go back to drawing board if we had a really poor first showing. We had a poor first showing. 0-0 is a poor first showing. Whether it matters or not, it's a different story, but it was a poor first showing. We immediately moved Gressel up into the midfield. That's a fairly major change. We brought Sergei Kristov in to anchor center backs, which is completely opposite how Tata wants to play. He does not want a slow, stalwart center back. He wants pace. So Tata really went against a little bit of what he wants to do to try out this lineup. Now, I get it's experimentation, but I'm pretty sure he took a drawing board out and said, guys, here's how you're playing. So I am claiming at least 40% rightness that we went back to the drawing board. I think Gressel was, I didn't watch the first game. I did not think Gressel was at all on the same page again with the team around him. Gressel was playing also very defensively. I did not see him making a lot of attacks and making a lot of runs. Messi was playing way too far back. He didn't seem to have trust in the Messi kind of reminded me of how Higuain used to play, where Higuain would get frustrated and come back. Messi was coming back and doing that. The one standout, okay, there's a couple standouts, but the number one standout, which was Ruiz. Ruiz played, I think, the first 60 minutes. He was on the same page as Suarez completely. Like, these guys look like they've been playing together for years. Not Busquets and Suarez, Ruiz and Suarez. Great balls, great trying. I think somewhat to your thing, they're having fun right now. So they're trying, like, once again, the 18, they're passing for no reason. Like, it's a flick back of the ankle or something, a little tap. It's instead of just take the shot. I think that will change. But, and this is what I got to call out, not scoring is a habit of ours. We've gone 10 matches now and only scored 7. The last 2, we haven't scored any. And it's not like, I get it, the keepers having a good game. Keepers aren't standing on their heads so much that we're not scoring. Like,
I don't think the Dallas keeper, I didn't see him make any great saves.
By the way, the Dallas, they put in their backup keeper for the last 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't see anything. I don't think that we really worked the Dallas keeper in the game. I think, there was no energy. I don't think we care.
So here's my thing.
And I'm okay with that. Like, let's just get through these games with no injuries, get the fitness in, build some chemistry, and be ready to go once the season starts.
So a couple things, because I don't agree with not caring. First off, I'm a Chelsea supporter. I have regrets sometimes that I'm a Chelsea supporter, as I remind some of my friends, but I'm a Chelsea supporter. And coming off our Champions League season, coming off the Champions League season 2 years ago, Chelsea decides to come to America and play a series of matches. And I went to the one, saw them play Arsenal in Orlando, and we lost like 4-0 or 4-1. And I remember walking out stadium, everyone going, guys, it's preseason. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. Okay. It was a harbinger of things, of how bad that season was going to go. So that is weighing on my mind that this feels awfully familiar. Number 2, we have, again, the most recognizable 4 players in all of MLS, and they're all attacking players. In fact, Alba is now playing as a left wing. We're not putting the ball in the net. We're not taking good shots.
Yeah, but why do you want them to put the ball in the back of the net in preseason? Save the goals for the regular season, man.
Because we couldn't score last regular season.
Who cares? It's not last season. This is a completely different team.
It's not a completely different team.
It is.
The majority
absolutely is.
If you bring up that starting lineup, 9 of those guys started last season towards the end of the season. 9 of them. The only new guy out there, 2 new guys, are Gressel and Suarez. Everyone else played. It's not like it's a brand new team. This is exactly who we had, except now we got Suarez, and now we got Gressel.
We have depth behind them. We're three deep in just about every position. No. Because that changes the way you play. Because Tata's playing his tactics. Yes, it does. But if you don't have the depth in positions to play, like, look at the tactics that Tata had to employ last season.
We played a 5-3-2 last season.
And
The only difference is, funny enough, you had Campana in who couldn't score. But this looks like the results are the same results we saw towards the end of last season. We could not
Listen.
score the ball. And if you remember, you know me well. I've been ranting. Our number one problem is offense. Everyone's been like, Mike, don't worry. We're bringing Suarez. Now we got Gressel. We've got offense. We should be able to score. And we still can't score. Like, at some point, alarm bells should be going off.
Alarm bells do not need to go off until we get into the regular season. Granted, and we can't score.
Do you remember our last 10 games
it's
last season?
It's game 2, week 2. It's game 2, week 2.
Our listeners that are not watching YouTube cannot see how hard I'm rolling my eyes at you. At some point, we have to score. Dallas just scored. In fact, they scored in the first 9 minutes.
And then they didn't score the rest of the game.
But they still scored.
So
they have some confidence they can put the ball in the net.
If Suarez scores 1 goal and we tie 1-1, you're not talking about we need to score.
I would say I would be a little less paranoid.
You would find something else to complain about.
Wow, that's you're making me have to be very negative.
You are very negative. It's preseason. If you're complaining about preseason results and you're ready to go back to the drawing board.
I'm not listen. I'm not even sure what you have to do at this point, because I do have the agreement that it looks like we're just not on the same page. But I'm not, unlike you, I'm not ignoring the entire second half of last season where we also couldn't score.
I'm not ignoring that, but I don't think
you're just like, well, this is preseason. I don't care.
I don't think you can't just say like, oh, last season we couldn't score, so it's obviously the same problem this season. We couldn't score down the stretch because Messi didn't play, Alba didn't play, but when they were playing, we were scoring. We won we won League's Cup when they were playing at their top. When they were playing
we went right downhill.
Okay,
as soon as League's Cup was over, we went downhill.
Messi stopped playing.
Okay, well, Messi's in now. We still can't score.
Messi's here. Messi's back. It's week 2. Take it easy.
Okay.
There's no reason to panic right now. There's no reason.
I'm not.
You are.
Listen, there's different levels. I am seriously concerned. Not panic. I'm not yet on the fire Tata train, though I know quite a few people that have.
I've been on the train since last year.
I'm not there.
I'm not ready to get off.
And I think we can get there. But right now, I don't think we know how to score yet. I think there's problems that we haven't figured out yet.
It's not that there's so it's not problems that we haven't figured out. It's not like we need a missing piece or anything like this. They need time. When Gressel figures out where these guys want the ball, he's going to be another great offensive weapon.
But think about what you're saying. The major difference on the attacking piece, because again, Gressel was not attacking earlier, like yesterday. Right. He was not. Yedlin was attacking more. The major difference piece we brought in was Suarez. Now, I know you're going to make the argument. It's been a couple of years since they played together. The timing's a little off. I'm not completely denying that. But you were
texting me during the Dallas game, and you were like, some of this play is absolutely beautiful.
It is, but we're now 180 minutes into this preseason.
Right, but they're not 180 minutes into the preseason. They're 90 minutes into the preseason. No. Suarez didn't play 90 minutes both games.
He didn't play 45 both games either. He played he's 140 minutes in because he played like 70 minutes both games.
Okay.
He's 140 minutes.
He's 140 minutes in to preseason.
Brandon, let me ask you this. If they played TJ's kids team and didn't score, would you be nervous?
I don't care.
Why no matter the competition, no matter how
week 1 or 2 of preseason, I don't care. Call me at the last 2 games of preseason. If we haven't scored and we don't score in the last 2 games of preseason, I think then you can start worrying about it.
We've got 2 Saudi Arabia games coming up, which you are actually more negative than I am on this one, and you think we're going to
I think we're going to lose both games, but I think we'll score. I don't think it'll be like blowouts. I think, I think we'll look competitive for at least the time that the big four's on the field.
Let's get quotable. We're going to get quotable here. Next 2 games. How many goals do we need to score, regardless of winning, for you to say there's not an issue? Or does it not matter? We can go 0-0 on both and you're okay with it.
I don't know. 2 goals.
Each?
Score 2 goals.
2 goals total?
2 goals total. I think you're fine. as long as you start seeing my thing is I don't care so much about the ball going in the back of the net. What my concern is I want the players on the same page. I want to see that they're getting in good positions, that the ball's getting where they want it to be, and I want to see that they're improving on that. Like, I don't want to see like Suarez stretching out and the ball just missing his foot. I want to see it landing on his foot and having a good scoring opportunity. I
Okay.
want to see Gressel being able to make the passes because this is game 3 and 4 of the preseason. We have to start seeing progress in there. And I think we'll start seeing better passing. We'll start seeing that chemistry building and we'll see some goals, you know. But, I think the last couple games, I think probably the Japan games will be the most, or the Hong Kong and the Japan game, I think will be the most telling. I think if we don't score in those games and we don't have the chemistry, then we can start worrying about it. But we're building it up. How many goals do you think we need to score in the next two?
I'm already nervous. So I don't think my opinion changes unless we score 2 goals a match. Scoring any is going to make me
Two
feel
goals a
better.
match?
Yeah.
That's pretty ambitious. I think I mean, I
Again,
don't
okay,
think
so
it's
it's just,
impossible, but
but remember, we're not, the rumor is Ronaldo's not going to play.
yeah, but
I,
Ronaldo's not the one that's gonna affect your ability to score. He's not playing
yeah,
defense.
but I guess my point is, I don't,
You still have to
you
go
made
up
a
against
point,
who's their goalkeeper? Mendy?
you made a point earlier that El Salvador is playing the game of their life because they were playing up to our standards.
I don't think the
I
El Salvador teams are playing up, or I'm sorry, I don't think the Saudi Arabian teams are gonna be like this is business as usual for those guys.
I
They
think they're going
played
to play.
against Messi.
I think they're going to play down a little. I think they're going
Yeah,
to say and that's my. I think they're not playing up. I think they're playing down. I think they're going to
yeah.
go, oh, this is Inter Miami. This is an MLS team.
I think the
Eh,
games will probably be more competitive than we're thinking now.
that's kind of my thinking is that they're not going to take it that seriously, and
Yeah,
especially and this is what I say with Ronaldo out, like it's even less serious.
yeah,
Um, so I think goals should be scorable for us. Like we should be able to
yeah.
score on these teams. Win? I don't think so. If the score line looks
If
like
we come
Chelsea
out with
score,
one win in these two games,
oh, I don't think that's happening.
that
I,
would be phenomenal, though, wouldn't it?
it would
If we
be
come out with a
amazing.
win, even if we just score one goal, I bet you change your mind.
Oh, if we win, okay, of course. If we win these matches,
If we win one nothing and then we lose the other one 10-0, I think you're feeling better.
I think so. Chelsea's scoreline today was 6-2. Like I could see one of these matches having that scoreline and not being in a positive manner for us. So
The other thing too is, and I didn't think about this until today, is there are a lot of players on the Saudi Arabian teams that are away at AFCON.
well, that's a good point.
Yeah. Like because I was like, oh, it's gonna be really cool. I haven't been keeping up with AFCON, so I don't know how Senegal is doing, but um, like I thought it'd be really cool to see Suarez versus Mane because I love Sadio Mane, but we may not even see that because he may be gone. He may not be there.
I don't know.
So it's gonna be wild either way.
And I'm just gonna say this, and you and the Batter Heron Boys and some other viewers and listeners can keep on giving me crap about the panic here, but
We always
I'm
will.
not. I'm not like I can't just ignore what happened towards the end of last season. I can't ignore when I look at 9 of our starters are the same from last season, and we have the same problems. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like
I
technically it's
mean,
8 because Messi played the last games, Alba did not, so even 8. Like, we've got to get the ball in the net, especially. Let's not forget, Tata's entire strategy seems to be score more goals than the other guy. And I know that sounds like a
well,
Maddenism, but the point is he doesn't want to play defense. He just wants to
yeah.
outscore. And in
Which,
preseason, if your strategy is score more than the other guy, and so
yeah.
far the highlight has been you actually pulled a clean sheet, you
Yeah,
got a
not
problem.
great. Yeah, not great. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But before we move on, or before we wrap up the show, we got 2 more segments we want to get into real quick. Everybody's favorite segment that we go through, kit news. So today on the Royal Caribbean, what's it called? Icon of the Seas.
Icon of the Seas.
There it is, the new front of kit sponsor,
Yeah, so
Royal
so a lot of people were
Caribbean. The
saying new kit.
logo, thank God, is so much smaller than I thought it was going to be.
So a lot of people said we got new kits today. It's not what happened. This is La Noche. This is the kit. Neither one of us has on right now, but this is the kit that we played, I think, 3 or 4 matches in last year, and we played our first 2 matches in this year with the new sponsor. Love the new sponsor. Love it so much more than a crypto firm that none of us understood. I am not actually a fan of Royal Caribbean Cruises, if I'm going to be honest.
All right, well, we're not here for that.
I know, but I just need to. I need to. I think this is for
We
Danny.
just went on a Disney cruise. The audience can guess.
Is it Danny or Chris that loves Royal Caribbean? One of them loves it.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, I'm a Disney cruise guy. And I just did Disney cruise and love it to death. But I do love the logo. I think it looks great. I think it looks so much better on just even La Noche. Having instead of that right now, it looks awesome. I'm sitting on MLSstore.com right now. Has them for sale.
Yeah,
fully badged.
They announced that they were going to be for sale, so go get them.
100 of the authentic, just for everyone who knows, is $194.99. The replica is $134.99. That's expensive. That is really expensive.
Well, welcome to MLS.
Welcome. But yeah, those are for sale. I think they look good.
Take us into the real kit sponsor that we love.
So I love this. Actually, Branton, when you get a chance, I just walked away from you. You know, we can see you that you walked away. Oh, no, they can't see you. I can see that you walked away as I'm trying to ask you to do something. So, man, I just called you out there. Inter Miami has the IMCF Foundation, which is our charity foundation. We put that badge on the front of our kits for our first 2 games. So if you can go back, Brandon, when you get a chance, pull up the picture from either the first 2 games that shows the team in it. I think this was awesome. We put it out there for all to see. I'll be honest, I'm sure it's because XBTO's sponsorship ended January 1st, and obviously Royal Caribbean kicked in today. But seeing the players play in our foundation badge, I just think is awesome. I huge props to the club. They could have played with a blank kit. I'm sure they probably got this as a tax write-off. But I just think it's awesome. The foundation's wonderful. I've had the opportunity to work with and talk to members of the foundation normal times. They did the 50-50s last year with all the raffles. God knows I spent enough on the 50-50. I never actually won anything. But I just think it's really cool. We put it on there. The rumor on the street is these will be auctioned off later in the year. I already know who I'll be grabbing in the pictures in front of us. So from the first team, spoiler, it will not be Messi because I can't even imagine how much that will cost. But I am super excited that these will become available. We all pick them up. And just props to the club. I think the club, a lot has been said about this club's social outreach in a non-positive manner before. But I think looking at this, this was something cool the club did, something they did right. And so for as much bad mouthing as I did about the contract situation and season ticket holder, this is something that I think we can really point to and say, hey, the club did something really good here and should be recognized for it. And I do hope that not just on the outreach, that people Google IMCF Foundation, saw it did, but when they actually turn around and sell these, they make some money too.
Well, and the other thing that I think is really cool, and what I hadn't realized, is I knew they had launched a store, but I hadn't been there since I saw that they launched it. And if you go on their website, they have some really cool designs for hats and shirts and hoodies.
You didn't try to buy them though, did you?
No.
The store doesn't work yet. I tried to buy one today. I tried to buy the hat, and the store still has some issues. So all right. Hopefully pretty quickly that'll get available.
It's a good alternative if you miss out on bidding for one of these jerseys, because I know there's a lot of people that we know in our community as collectors that are going to be going for these jerseys and really, really can't wait to see them come in.
But even again, get away from the buying stuff. Just good on Inter Miami for having an opportunity to do something to help the foundational arm of the club, and they did it. And I think just that has to be recognized and congratulated, and just well done to the club.
Yeah, it's cool to see them do this. I know there's clubs around the world that do this for a game, one of the big games. They'll say, "Oh yeah, we're going to wear the sponsor for the charity that our sponsor cares about," or whatever, and they do that. So really cool to see that. Hopefully we see more of that, because really awesome. And it makes you feel good. And I'm just so glad XBTO is gone.
I still don't actually know what they sold.
I don't think even their clients knew.
As much stuff as I own that says XBTO, I've never understood what that product was. So I definitely understand what Royal Caribbean is. I am also. I was thinking about this today.
Buying it, but he understands Royal Caribbean.
You know, on the plus side, you got to think there's going to be some great fan giveaways going on. Like, you know, maybe there's going to be some
Maybe.
halftime events where you can win cruises and stuff like that. Like, I think it's great to have a sponsor
Yeah,
that you recognize, we can relate to, and that
that's
can do some
local.
cool stuff. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Like, you know, some of the rumored sponsors, like God, before XPTO, when they were talking about Qatar Airways and stuff, like that was the thing, nightmares.
Do you remember when the and I know this, I actually know the story of this, but do you remember when there was a jersey? It was an Air Miami jersey with the Qatar Airways being the image went around and everyone freaked out. Like that was people really panicked
Myself
over that one.
included.
So no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm very much happy it's not Qatar Airways. I always didn't want that one. I think there was only one sponsor better than Royal Caribbean for us, and that was gonna be Publix. Like I really wanted Publix.
Yeah,
I really wanted, but Royal Caribbean, man, I cannot say a single bad thing from like a sponsor perspective. I know no company's perfect and they've had their issues, but I think it's awesome. I think it looks great. I will have that kit pretty soon. Yeah.
yeah.
The question is,
I'm gonna have to order one.
I got to find out. I'm going to find out later on tomorrow, if the club store has them yet. And it's like either I'm buying an MLSsoccer.com or I'm buying it from the club store. I'd rather buy from the club store.
Yeah,
because we got our season ticket holder.
Well, that season ticket holder discount. Yep. So, you know, hopefully next week we don't have any kit news to talk about, or the pink kit is finally here.
I think we hear about it next week. Yeah, I think we hear about the new kit next week, knowing that some of the new stuff.
And I'll hate it, but they'll probably debut it in like Saudi Arabia or Dubai or some nonsense like that.
But it would make more sense to. Well, no, I don't think that's going to work because the rumor I heard so far is next week would be the debut, and since at least the first game is in Saudi Arabia, that doesn't make sense somewhat. Like that'll get more views of it, which would be huge, but the timing doesn't work great because the first game's Monday. By the way, for all of our listeners, so we're a little over an hour in. I knew this show was going to go long today. 1 p.m. game, Monday and Thursday are the Saudi Arabia games. The timing is horrible. Block your work calendars now because you're going to be working while watching.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to try and play with our schedule. Will probably be coming at you maybe Sunday. We can get everything together. If we get 50 subscribers, maybe we'll be live. Who knows? That's all up to you.
Yeah, we really we really want to record Sunday night. That's our goal. Love for it to be live. There's no reason it shouldn't be live. Like 25 of you have a click subscribe. If each one of you has one friend, have your friend subscribe. Listen, I don't care if they're an Orlando City fan. Just have them subscribe to help us out.
We don't want them.
Yeah, but they get Disney as a sponsor, and I just really appreciate that. That's like my weird issue with Orlando City. But remember, Orlando City does now play Inter & Co Stadium, so they play in our house. We built them a house. We got a shelter.
By the way, Inter Miami's social admin deserves a freaking trophy.
Papi.
Yeah.
So we didn't cover this, but let's just get into it real quick. Orlando City was playing at Experian Field. Was that the field?
Exploria
Stadium. That was Exploria Stadium. Their new sponsor is called Inter & Co. So
they're based out of Miami too.
I read somewhere that they have an office here, but it's not really their base.
Oh, no,
but regardless, they now play at Inter & Co Stadium, which is hilarious. Orlando City's fans rightfully freaked out. Like that would be the same as us.
They put a petition together. You saw that?
Listen, if Purple.com came to name our stadium and we accepted it, we'd freak out the same. Like, I'm sorry, I'd be just as upset. So we're
bigger than that, man.
We're not.
We're a global brand. We don't want Purple.com.
No, we're not. We took cryptocurrency money for 2 years. Like, we are not bigger than that. Don't get yourself. So they do that. And so we knew about this for like 2 weeks and everyone was getting a good laugh. And then Orlando City comes out and announces it. And Inter Miami's official Twitter account just responds with Papi es papi. Daddy is daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't speak Spanish, and I still understood what that meant.
Oh, yeah.
It was up there for like an hour or so before it got taken down. The rumor is, and there's no, this was the rumor, and it's the internet, so it's rumors are rumors.
I wouldn't even say it's a rumor. I think that's a joke. I don't think that really happened.
You don't think so? The rumor was Orlando City reached out to MLS, and MLS made us take it down. I believe it. Like that to me, you can't have these. That was such a bad comment. Like the connotations of that comment are so bad. I do think there's truth to that rumor that's why we had to take it down. I would love to hear someone tell me what really happened because either way it's hilarious. But yeah, it got taken down. I do know some people got on Etsy pretty quickly to try to sell pictures of that and Redbubble or whatever they are. So I'm sure we'll see some when we play Orlando City, which is like our third or fourth game.
Yeah, there'll be sucks.
I am assuming we're going to see some supporter signs that say that. It's
Hell coming. Yeah. Throw that shit on a t-shirt. I'm in. So moving on to the final segment before we close out tonight. I know we're running long, but we do want to get to these. And it's the fan questions. A lot of these questions, thank you guys for submitting them. And a lot of them are directed to you, Mike. So some of these I will not respond to. I'll just maybe give it a little color. First one comes from our boys at the Battered Herons. They asked, does Mike consider last night's change in the starting 11 as Tata going back to the drawing board after the El Salvador game?
The starting 11 included major changes, specifically 2 changes. One is putting Gressel back as a center midfielder and moving Yedlin out to right back. I don't think that's uncalled for, but that's a fairly major change. Call it experimentation if you want. We're experimenting where he is. That one, fine. I'll give it to you. Not drawing board. Putting Sergey who is not a fast, pacey center back. He is as slow as they come. Love him on a low. We've talked about him on a low block. He would be the guy, and I think he's one of the best low block center backs in MLS. Is not capable of playing Tata's form of football. And I think that is a drawing board level change. So you all laugh at me. You all give me shit. You're laughing, Brandon, as I'm saying this. But I think that change, is a very major change that goes against Tata's nature. It's not how he wants to play. The fact that he even pulled that in preseason, call it an experiment if that makes you all feel better. But that is not what he wanted to do for the second game. I know for a fact, I know in my heart, he was forced to do that because of what he saw. And he had to see what would happen. If it's an experiment, if it's fine. It's not the drawing board, which has weird connotations that made you all very upset with me. But that was a pretty big change that there's no way Tata wanted to do.
Yeah. And, I don't know how you come on this show and you're just so comfortable being so wrong all the time. It's rotation, man.
You're a Liverpool fan, so you understand how
the
it's
league.
Like to be going. Good luck with those trophies.
Yeah. Yeah, we've won more than you. Like
you can't say preseason doesn't matter and then say we're making rotational changes and we're putting Sergey in over.
I think you're reading too much into the change personally.
I think not Sergey.
Yeah, I think bringing Sergey in was more about like let's get some minutes in his legs more so than Tata's thinking about fundamentally changing the way he plays.
Because I'll tell you why. Who replaced Sergey in the lineup yesterday night? Who was the next center back? Or sorry, replaced Toto. Who did he sub out and put in place?
It's McVeigh, right?
McVeigh, which means the next guy back was McVeigh. McVeigh makes more sense in a Tata lineup. Now, I've heard rumors Tata is not a big fan of McVeigh, and I think there's some truth to that because we've never seen him play him a lot. But if you look for a guy who's trying to keep the formation, keep what he's trying to do, it's McVeigh over Sergey. Sergey is essentially a formational change.
I think he's giving Sergey the opportunity to play because they're trying to sell him. And he's got to play in order for other teams to think that he's part of their plans. I do not think Tata's thinking I need to go with a low block.
So here's
because Freire, when he gets here, is going to take that spot.
I'm not suggesting he's going to go back to a low block, but it's a form. The guy's so slow.
But you are.
But
you are because if you're
Sergey has played in Champions League, he's got so much tape on him. I remember when Sergey came over before he played a single.
But
you don't need to advertise him.
If teams don't think that he's part of your plans for the season, they're going to pay less.
No one's
If they
thinking.
if they
there's
say,
no. The teams. Okay, the
yeah,
majority of teams are smarter than that. There
and
are a few teams that are
also
at that dumb, but the
we've been
majority of teams
talking
know he's
about
not.
how thin we are at center back, and you want to say, "Oh, Sergey shouldn't play at all in preseason"?
No, but play.
Come on,
Dude,
man.
play Chris McVeigh. Play
Get
Ryan Sailor. We've
serious.
got young,
Get
pacey
serious.
guys. Wow,
Get serious.
you've been on battered
Sergey
Marlins
has to
too
get
long.
minutes. He has to get minutes.
No, because he's not a part of a plan. Ship him back
You
to
don't know
Europe.
that.
Well, don't play him back to Ukraine because he doesn't
We
want to
could
go
be
back there.
stuck with him. Because
I'm just telling you, it doesn't make sense to put Sergey in that position.
I think
There's a change.
you're reading way too far into it.
Ruiz and Kamashi swapping that out. That's not drawing board. That's rotation. I completely agree on that move. The Sergey move was not rotational. It's not
But
experimental.
Sergey was playing exactly how Tata wants him to play. He wasn't playing a low block.
I didn't say he's playing a low block, but he's too slow for a high.
But
the
for
high
it
line.
to be a major change, and for you called it a formational change. For it to be a formational change,
no, I said because of his speed, it's essentially a formational change. Yes, it is.
You said it's a formational change.
Essentially, I qualified. Don't take my qualifier away.
Speed does not change a formation. What changes a formation is if they ask him to play a low block.
When you're so slow to get back,
but they didn't ask him to play different than what Tata wants to play. He played how Tata wants his center backs to play.
But that's when you remember we played a lot more.
It's not a big change then.
We played a lot more of a 4-man back. So a couple things. Don't forget, we are not playing a consistent 5-man back. We are rotating between a 5-man back and a 4-man back depending on possession. And a 4-man back is much more what Sergey played with us previously. So again, I think we are getting away from the 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2, however you want to look at our wing backs, to play more of this 4-3-3, 4-2-4 because of having Sergey in there. So I think there's more to it than you're counting, that you're like giving it. Do I think we see it again? God, I hope not. But I just don't think you can just say this was a rotational change. Sergey is a different type of center back.
Right.
Forced us to play a different play.
These guys. You can't play the same center backs in preseason.
You don't have to start
the
him.
whole time.
Yeah, but start McVeigh. Start Sailor. We have other center backs that could have played.
Have to play him. So if he came in off the bench, you would say it was a formational change, and you'd be saying
if he came off the bench was in the 70th minute, I am completely wrong. It is just experimentation and just subs.
Well,
but that's not what happened.
I think
this was a starter in the 11.
You put way too much faith in preseason, man. Way too much faith. You're the guy who celebrates the Carolina Trophy Cup way over Leagues Cup. So moving on to the next question.
Hold on. Got my Carolina Trophy Cup.
And I have mine over there on my scarf rack.
I got it.
But
damn right I celebrated. That was
it's a preseason. It's preseason, man. Don't worry about it.
Let's move on. Let me put this.
So Joe G asks, are you guys worried at all about these upcoming Saudi games after watching what we did in El Salvador and Dallas?
I know your answer is no because you don't care about the preseason.
I don't care about results in the preseason. I'm worried that maybe somebody gets hurt.
I mean that's a worry with any preseason. I'd say I'm only worried that we need to score goals. Like, do I really care about the total results as much as we're arguing right now? No, I don't. Win or lose, I really don't care. If we don't score goals, that's my issue. So I think the need to score goals is increasing. I think if we had scored 5 goals in the past 2 games, which we damn well should have, I wouldn't care at all what happens in the Saudi game at all. I'd watch it because I want to watch it, but I just would not care the result. Now that we've been blanked 2 games, I need to see goals to at least keep me from fully hitting the panic button. Because if we come out of the Saudi games with no goals again, I'm going to put a red blinking light up on here and just have that going the entire next show.
You can tell you're a Chelsea fan because you just panic at preseason, everything.
Yeah, well, I have reason to because preseason has been a pretty good indicator for us.
I can't wait till we score 2 goals in each game and then you find something else to pull apart here and panic about.
Well, listen, if we have nothing to talk about as a show, we're going to struggle as YouTube personalities. So we do need something to talk about.
Yeah. Well, next question from Albert H. our good friend. Question for both of us: isn't preseason for innovation, trial of new formations with different player mix? Only then will Tata know what does and doesn't work.
Am I going first again?
I mean, I can go first. I think he's absolutely right. It's a time for trying different things, for getting players on the field, for building fitness, for seeing what does and doesn't work, and then building from that. It's not a place to really count on results. And I think the last couple of preseason games and will tell you like what your team's going to look like for the season. But you know I say that, and to start last season, we played Austin at home in the last preseason game, and we looked amazing, and we all thought we were going to be good,
And we
and
won the
we were
next two
shit.
games. Well, hold on. We won the next two games, and then we
Yeah,
lost
but we were
Gregory
shit
and,
the season.
yeah, but that was due to injuries, right? So like that game was telling. I
Boy,
will say I agree with Albert's state. First off, we love Albert. We've tailgated him. What a great fan of
yeah,
just friend of ours and fan of the show. I agree with that preseason is a time for innovation and trial. But I also believe that the vast majority of coaches across all sports have default settings. You play towards a certain strategy, concept type of person you are. There's very few coaches, I can only think of one off the top of my head, but there's very few coaches that truly plays to the people they have, not the strategy they want to implement. Tata plays to the strategy. By the way, Phil Neville was the exact same way, right? Like he had a strategy in his mind, and no matter who the players were, he was going to play to that strategy. It's why Chris McVay was a left back for halftime because he just couldn't get out of that. And so Tata has a certain strategy in mind, and it starts with a 3-man back line. I think this is where kind of the back and forth is going to go about Sergey until we have more evidence to say the otherwise. Of there is experimentation, and then there's like leaving the formula. I think a little bit, not in every place. And funny enough, it wasn't offensively where we need to score goals. Defensively, I think Tata left the formula a little bit last night. Does that mean he's completely changing the formula? No, because we just brought in Frere. So like we're going back to the formula in Saudi, and I expect not to have Sergey start in Saudi Arabia. But yes, that is what preseason's for. But there's a limit. And I know I'm really harping on one personnel change, but that change felt so wrong to me that I think it tells me that Tata wasn't happy.
Tata wasn't happy. He's changing more than one person.
He's not going to wait. Listen, the whole front of the team he can't change. The people passing the ball to Messi, and anything can change. Like we all know, Tata is setting. He's experimenting to let Messi, Busquets, Alba choose the players they like to play with best. But when Tata's putting his lineup up, he's basically saying, okay, Messi told me he wants him and this guy and that guy. The center backs are going to be a little bit different. I think that's where Tata has the most control over this lineup because it's less about what the front guys want. It's more about the guys that are holding the line and playing the role that Tata wants them to play.
We'll see as the preseason goes along. And final fan question from, I don't know who put this one in. So it's a question for Mike. So what do you think Tata's drawing board looks like? And, I have a little insight into this question just so you answer it, right for our fans. Do you think it's a chalkboard? Do you think it's a dry erase board? Do you think he uses an Etch-a-Sketch? What do you think his drawing board actually looks like?
It is definitely a whiteboard, like one of the little ones. Like you see the
You
more
think he's a
modern coaches.
magnet guy? He has little magnets on there. He moves around.
No, he's old school. He's old school. He's got a dry erase marker. He's using last year's kit to kind of wipe it off. That's why we didn't have a lot of black kits last year because he was using them all. We were using pink kits. The black kits was for the dry erase board. I think maybe a magnet or two, but he's really a whiteboard guy. He's definitely not an iPad guy. Or alternative option. We have some friends that feel this way. There is no whiteboard. It's basically, Messi, what do you want to do? Messi said, do it, guys, go do it. That's the other option here.
Oh, Interesting. If we get the opportunity to talk to Tata, I'm gonna ask him about his drawing board and how many times he's gone back to it, just so we can really address that fans' questions. Because great question to end it up.
You know, this BG guy, he's gonna have some competition from that
Listen, I
ML
saw his
guy.
profile picture. Very handsome guy.
Yeah,
Very
sure he
handsome.
is.
And he can be reached at bgriff891. By the way,
You know, when we get done with this preseason tour and some of my premonitions come out to be correct, I look forward to not just you, but I'm going to go on Battered Herons and make them apologize to me as well.
yeah, I don't think that's happening, man.
Oh, I am. When they listen to this, because we know we listen to each other's shows. When they listen, I expect some like, "Yep, Mike, you get to come on. We will graciously apologize for the bad things we've said about you."
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I wouldn't hold your breath on being right. That's my concern. They'll have you on the show, I'm sure, but I wouldn't hold your breath on being
Listen,
right.
I don't want to
think
be
things turn
right.
around
Like,
after next week.
I
You,
want things to turn
you
around,
do.
right?
No,
Like,
I
I
don't
want
think
these
you
guys
do.
to score. I know, I really do. I really want to have a good team. I really want to win CCC. I really want to score at will. Like we should be able to.
Well,
I am frustrated, and I think the other piece is my panic is more frustration than anything. I am frustrated we can't score, and until we score, that frustration is not going away. And
oh,
with that, you may now play the exit music.
thank you. As we mentioned, please like and subscribe. Subscribe on YouTube so we can hit the 50 and then we can start doing this live. For audio only listeners, thanks for rocking it. Our last episode was a huge success. And just thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.